Welcome back to Let's Get Haunted with your host,
Nat Strawn
and Allie. Welcome back, guys, to episode, oh my
82?
God, 82?
84? 82.
Hold on. My schedule says it's 82. You are correct.
It is 82.
82. No, it's not. It's
People-
84.
It's 84?
It's 84.
Oh, no.
Oh,
I don't have a story for today then because I wrote episode 82.
Well, shit. We're going to have to go walk through that portal where the ultra-terrestrials are getting through.
Right.
And go record this in the past.
Yeah.
And if you guys don't know what we're talking about, you got to listen to 83.
If you guys don't know what we're talking about, it worked.
Yeah.
And you're hearing it right now.
And 83 no longer exists.
Yep. Welcome to our podcast.
Right.
My name is Nat Strawn.
I'm
And
Allie. I have no last name, and that is by choice, so that you people can't find me.
Yeah, it's very easy to find her. Like,
Don't
literally, if you're
Don't find
watching
me.
this, it's very easy to find her.
I would
but
prefer if you didn't.
She prefers to live under the illusion that she's not
Right.
able to be found
feel
if she just
safer.
doesn't say her last name.
Right. I do. I feel a little bit safer somehow, even though it's really
Right.
not hard to find me at all.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to start out by thanking our newest donors for this episode.
Oh,
If you are
terrific.
new to this show and this is your first time watching, welcome. You're going to have a lot of catching up to do. You should probably just stop and go back and listen to episode 1, then 2, 3,
Yeah.
then 4.
And then 5, and then 6,
and
then
7,
8.
8,
Some
9.
people like to listen to number 10 after
yeah,
that.
after that. And then I would recommend probably like 11 at that point.
And then 12 through 69.
69 was a great
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
That's, you know what? Never mind. Here's our newest donors: Sophie F., Samantha C., Malik, an anonymous Ko-fi supporter, Olivia M., and Carly K. Thank you guys so much. And if you would like to donate to this podcast, you can do so by Venmoing at Nat Strawn.
At Nat Strawn, that's me, but we split everything equally. Or you can go to paypal.me/Nat Strawn, or you can Cash App me at $Natalia Strawn.
Or you can Venmo me at DogMomUSA, or you can go to our Ko-fi account, which you can find very easily by going to LetsGetHauntedPod.com. In the upper right-hand corner of the screen is a giant donate button. Or if you prefer receiving something physical in exchange for your money, on our website, you can also buy our merch.
Yes, and our merch is objectively good merch.
Yes,
I will say.
I
Yes.
agree.
You know, it's good when the artist that made it puts it on their Instagram to like show like, oh, I made this. Because sometimes I feel like when we have things commissioned, they're like the person who made them like doesn't post
Give a
it on
shit.
their
Yeah.
personal feed or whatever, because they're basically saying like, oh, I don't want this to represent me as a
And my
person
brand.
and what I can do in my brand, which is very insulting, I will say. But in this instance, it was at Tragic Girls Company, or at Tragic Girls Co.
Caitlin Mansfield, she is fucking dope.
Yeah.
She has done other designs for us in the past, like our poster is also designed by Caitlin Mansfield, and then our Haunted Girl summer shirt as well is designed by Caitlin Mansfield. And the Hot Ghoul summer tanks, which have just restocked by the time this episode comes out, were made by Chris Christopher,
Chris
of Christopherson,
Christoph
Crystal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tag him because I don't remember.
But the gist is his name is Chris.
Yeah, but he's
So-
a really dope. You know what? I'm gonna find it right now because that is.
And if you're just tuning in and you're like, I'm literally going to turn this off because the title says that they're going to tell me a story and I was expecting some sort of format, and you're
Well,
like, these are just two idiots like
guess what?
bumbling on about things that doesn't matter.
It doesn't get better.
It does
So
not get better.
feel free to leave.
Also,
but also stay.
Yeah,
Christopher Mashburn.
Oh, perfect.
Thank you,
That's
Christopher
close.
Mashburn. And he also designed, if you guys are fans of Last Podcast on the Left, he designed some of their t-shirts.
Oh, wow.
And then he designed one of our t-shirts.
Oh, wow. Master
Yeah.
Crispin.
Yeah, Crispin. Thank you, Crispin Mash. It's really great. I love it. Crispy mashed potatoes. I really appreciate all of the work you've done.
You guys,
in your
we're
lifetime.
so tired right now.
Can you tell? Can
yeah.
you see the bags?
So my fiance went out of town for 2 days and left me me with our 3.5-month-old baby. And if you don't know anything about babies, they get up every 3 hours to eat. And so at night, they sleep for a little longer, but you put them down at around like 9 p.m. and then they wake up at like 4:30 a.m. and then they don't go back to sleep. Or at least mine doesn't. I don't know why. It's very frustrating. They say don't shake a baby, and I've had to tell myself that several times already. And we're only 3.5 months in.
I'm waiting for CPS to take this clip and use it in court against you at some point.
No, but no. I mean, this
we'll
is
add
a
an
joke.
asterisk.
This is a joke because it is. You have to make light of the situation. However, that I'm very tired because of that reason. So why are you tired?
Because I have a job and it just takes up a lot of my time
and energy.
And I'm trying to like start working out again, which because I haven't done that at all like during the pandemic. I mean, I run as we talked about in our January episode.
That's working out.
Yeah, but I haven't really been running lately. So I'm trying to start getting back into Pilates. And I lost so much muscle mass this year that I was shocked, like going back into class and being like, I can't do the simplest of things.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to get back into that. Then we have our podcast and then I have my job and I have like relationships that I try to extend. I feel like I overextend myself sometimes and so I'm just tired.
Yeah,
today.
I've had that thought before. Like, I was like, should I just not have a relationship? Should I just not have a hobby? Like, I can't be a mom and have a hobby and have a relationship and be creative and just, like, enjoy the simple things, like seeing a pretty tree in the fall. Like, fuck, I don't have time for that shit.
Yeah.
But then I think about it and I'm like, did George Washington have time to, you know, leave?
Did he have time?
Lead the United States Revolution and create a whole new country?
Wow. How did he find the time to, you know what he did to sacrifice to find the time? He pulled out all of his teeth and replaced them with wood. He was like, I don't have time to brush my teeth. I don't have time for this shit.
Yeah.
I'm going to drink liquids for the rest of my life, mash up my food and baby bird it to myself and have wooden teeth. And that was his like workaround. So I just need to find my wooden teeth to create more time for myself.
On this podcast, we often say that we're haunted and which means like, you know, we have too much to do or like things are not that great. But in reality, like things are really good. I have to constantly raise the morale for myself.
Yeah, definitely. Things are not that bad. I'm just tired today and Natalia's tired today and we're doing our best. I do have some exciting news though that may boost the morale.
Please.
I would like to shout out Sabrina P, who donated $100 to our Lupus Foundation of America charity fundraiser. And if you would like to donate, you can go to bit.ly/LGH Charity 21, and that'll take you to our page. Also, Amber O, who is consistently coming in with the big heart at all times of day and night, donated $50 to the Lupus Foundation of America.
Ladies. That's very sweet. One thing I want to add too is if you're not hearing your donations like in real time, it's because we're recording some of these episodes early so that we can take December and January off. So the timeline of things might seem like it's not exactly to your quality standards.
Right. Yeah. In an effort to make, you know what? Our wooden teeth solution that we've been working on is we used to record literally the day before an episode went live. And now that we're doing video and are getting busier in general as people and human beings, it's just not possible anymore. So we're trying to record a little bit in advance all of the episodes so that we can get on a schedule where when something inevitably blows up in our faces and we like can't record, then it's not that big of a deal. We can just reschedule.
That's true.
Yep.
You got to start from the bottom.
Started from the bottom. Now you're haunted.
Yeah.
So let's get into it, Natalia. I'm very excited.
So I want you to imagine, Alyssa, because we can't add in the music to this episode because we can't afford the extras yet. This beautiful song by Chopin that's like dun dun.
Oh, we're going to get a copyright strike immediately.
No, you can play things that are over 75 years old or something
That's
like that.
what we thought. But remember when you played that Boogeyman song and then some like random company copyright struck us and then Jamie challenged it, our friend James Allen McCune. If you guys don't know, he helps us with some of the back end stuff right now. He challenged it and YouTube was like, no, you can't use.
Oh, really? I didn't follow up on that, so I didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay, well, then just imagine that you're hearing that song in the background,
You know
guys.
what? Open a tab for Chopin. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
And just pick any song.
Any song.
Any.
Just a beautiful, wistful lullaby. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to fucking find something. I'm going to
just do a
something
remix
from the internet.
Just like open it in GarageBand, whatever song you wanted to use, and just add a bunch of tambourines.
Oh, perfect.
On top of it.
That's perfect. That's exactly what we need to do. All right. Are you ready?
Yes.
I need the energy to come up by
I know.
like 15
I'm doing it. Doing it here.
degrees.
Let me back up. I just feel like I don't know how to sit in this chair, and it's not anyone's fault but my own. This chair is great. I just don't know what I'm doing. Here, let me put this over here. I'm ready.
Okay.
I've also like had to use the bathroom like 7 times today, so I'm just depleted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
Depleted of liquids. Depleted.
Drink some water.
Yeah, I did. You know, I need to get better at that. Go ahead.
Yes.
Regale me.
All right. Memories. We all have them. Happy, sad, wanton, mad, blissful, bitter, sensual memories. They come and go in and out of our consciousness like cars on a train, wistfully pulled one behind the other, connected by some universal unseen thread. Our perceptions of the past includes in its simplicity the complex nature of all that ever was. In fact, memories are the only proof we had ever existed at all. And what becomes of these memories which one cannot recall? Are they lost to the sands of time, laying dormant at the bottom of some invisible hourglass waiting to be recovered? Or do they disappear from the universe, destroyed, never to be experienced again, like records lost in eternal hellfire? And what of the memories that one cannot forget? The nights unslept in rumination over some painful cards long ago dealt. Those winter afternoons, dark, alone, longing for a call which will never come. A blood stain permeated through a wood floor. Some memories won't leave. And do our memories act in their own self-interest? Do our memories want to be remembered? What if memories permeated the very soil under the foundation of our homes? What if our memories were built into the stones and bones of all that surrounds us? What if a memory could become more than just a memory? What if our past could be met in the present, in real time, right before our very eyes? We could relive our youth, or say hello to an old friend. We could meet our ancestors, or have the courage to tell someone who passed that we love them. Or we could summon a cruel bygone era, conspire with the unwilling dead, and torture the ones who wronged us. The story I'm going to tell you today is a story about things remembered and the power they hold over the present. It's the tale of things that were, things that are, and things that will be. It's a legend of love, lust, power, and murder. This is the story of the most haunted place in all of Denmark. This is the story of Voergaard Slot.
Wait, repeat that?
Voergaard Slot. Voergaard Slot.
So he's a war god, and his name is Slot? Or is his
I was
first
going to
name
ask you,
Voergaard?
do you have any idea of what we're going to talk about
today?
today?
It sounds like a lieutenant in an army named Slot.
Voergaard Slot.
Who just waged a lot of war.
Voergaard space Slot.
God. Nope, no idea. Viking? What was in Denmark?
Denmark.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vikings.
Yeah,
Vikings were there.
Was it a Viking ghost man who waged a war and spilled the blood that created memories that live in objects?
I don't know. It could be. It sounds...
I've combined everything I've learned from our podcast into one guess.
Thing. It's perfect. Okay, well...
I'm thinking like the stone tape theory from the Le Loyon episode.
Oh,
if you guys don't know what we're talking about,
no
go listen
time
to
to
Le
explain.
Loyon.
Also go listen to it.
Yeah.
I thought you were going the other way.
No time. You're right. I should have said that. I'm just tired.
Okay. Well, that's a very interesting theory. Let's find out.
Okay.
Alyssa.
I'm ready.
Do you believe a place can hold a memory? What if a place becomes a memory? First, we must travel to the end of the 14th century, the end of the Middle Ages. The year is 1481, also known as 1481.
Not a real year. Too old.
80 years before Shakespeare was born.
Oh, wow.
50 years after Joan of Arc was burned at the stake.
Oh, that's not very long.
11 years before Christopher Columbus himself landed in the Bahamas. It was a time of great change, one might say.
Yes,
one
might.
As the global hands of power swiftly shifted, new lands and new discoveries brought an influx of knowledge, and with it, new enemies. Allie, do you think you know what was happening in the world at this time, 1481?
Okay, 1481, 1492 was Columbus.
Yes, that is correct.
Yes, because 1492, he sailed the ocean blue.
And 1969, we went to the moon.
Yes.
Yep.
I remember that from the Even Stevens movie.
We went to the moon in 1969. Those are the only two dates I know.
That's when we made a landing that was lunar.
Yes.
It was a great show.
Well, in 1481, the Middle Ages were also called medieval times in Europe, a period of history from 500 AD to 1500 AD, literally 1,000 years.
Wow. Thank you, Natalia.
Yeah. So the Middle Ages. 1481 is technically very close to the end of the Middle Ages, which I find kind of romantic. The end of the middle, right?
Right.
Not quite the beginning of a new era, but not quite the end of a last era.
You might say the middle of the middle.
You might say the end of the middle, but if we're talking about the middle of the end, then it might be after that.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
This is quickly turning into like a Lewis Carroll novel.
It began with the fall of the Roman Empire to the rise of the Ottoman Empire. Okay. This was a time of castles and peasants, guilds, monasteries, cathedrals, crusades. Everyone was painting Jesus, baby, and Mary with the gold flakes and demons stealing a child, a babe, as he slept in his crib.
This sounds like when you play D&D. Like, this is the era that your game takes place in.
Yes. In the Middle Ages.
Yes.
And it's like the best. I personally think it was the worst time for humans to live, but it was the best time to recreate in modern times. Like, the Ren Fair is super fun.
Totally.
LARPing is super fun, and we're here for that.
Right. Wearing the corsets.
Yes.
Super fun.
Right.
As long as you're not forced to do it. Like,
I know,
in the Middle Ages.
It's like a fun time to make light of now, when in reality, everyone was suffering a lot. Like, even the kings were dying of gangrene.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Like, people were bathing like once a month.
Yes.
But still choosing to bang each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know.
The struggle.
I know. What was that even about?
No one is sure.
We should do another episode on just like haunted people hooking up. I don't know. I think that might be porn, but that's fine. Okay.
And now we're going to watch this haunted pornographic film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So art at this time was heavily themed with motifs on Catholicism, and artists often depicted religious figures and ideals in their art. Mm-hmm. Great leaders of this time would have been like Joan of Arc and Charlemagne. It was a time where people could like literally gather up an army and go do things. Like, I feel like if you wanted to make shit happen, this was your time to do it. You could be like, let's go storm a castle. And like a bunch of like broke people with hot brains would be like, yeah, with like a pitchfork.
Right,
you know?
Right.
And there were great events happening at this time. In 1271, Marco Polo left on his famous journey to explore Asia. In 1337, we have the 100 Years' War. That's beginning between England and France for control of the French throne. 1347, we have the Black Death, which we've talked about extensively. It began in Europe during this time. And during this time, it would end up killing half of all of Europe, which is pretty haunted. In 1431, Joan of Arc is executed by England at the age of 19.
She was only 19?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know, right?
Well, I guess the average lifespan, though, was like 30, right?
Yeah, but
so
like,
she was the equivalent of 50.
Perhaps, but still, seems pretty extreme.
It does.
To be burned at the stake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
In 1444, German inventor Johannes Gutenberg invented the printing press, which begins the start of the Renaissance. And then in 1453, the Ottoman Empire captures the city of Constantinople, which ends the Eastern Roman Empire, also known as Byzantium. And in 1482, Leonardo da Vinci famously paints The Last Supper. So that is the time that we're living in. And based on these events, Allie, what do you think the people who lived in the Middle Ages were like?
Again, I'm just going to reiterate smelly.
Yeah.
Lots of layers of clothes.
Right.
I think most people were peasants. There were some noblemen mixed in there.
Some serfs, some knights,
serfs.
depending on where you live.
Yeah, I think people were just like murdering each other
Farming.
a lot of the time.
There was a lot of farming going on.
Blacksmiths.
Yeah, so much smithery.
Stonemasons.
Lots of masonry.
Making barrels, which is coopery, which I learned on this show.
Cobblery.
Bacon pies.
There was bakery.
Some people had goats.
Goatery.
In the street, you shit in a chamber pot.
Yeah.
Throw it on your neighbor.
Yeah, you literally open sewers everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
It was a very haunted time. I wrote in here people were brave as shit. Like, I feel like people like the Crusades were literally someone was like heard the story of Jesus and they were like, I will kill everyone who doesn't believe there was a babe who was underneath a midnight sky, born of a mother. You know what I mean? And they were just like, this one sentence is literally worth dying over.
Yeah, I think a lot of hot brains. I think it was a lot of like malnutrition leading to a lot of anger. Yeah. And also people couldn't really bang freely, right? It's like you either had to like lie in sin or get married to someone you didn't really know.
Yeah, I kind of have a feeling that like peasants didn't really believe.
They didn't really give a shit.
Yeah, they like the king would be like, oh yeah, like everyone's doing Catholicism or everyone's a Lutheran now. And the peasants were like, here, oh, when should I go in the back of a barn? You know, just like they do in the movies. They're like always doing like doggy style in the back of a barn. And then like someone
That's true.
them.
Everyone's drinking mead.
Yes.
And it is just hammered 24/7.
And there's hay everywhere.
Yeah,
for some
and there's
reason.
sickles. And people are having industrial accidents and there's no OSHA to like save you when you get hurt on the job.
Yeah, they're literally just like, okay, he's dead. Let's replace him immediately.
Exactly.
And bye.
Yeah.
I wrote in here that, like, okay, this doesn't matter, but I, for some reason, wrote in here with my own hot brain when I was doing this at midnight, that I used to think when I was young that, like, Catholicism was, like, really oppressive. But now, after doing this podcast, I actually think that Catholicism is the religion for me because literally everything is covered in gold and they dress up in medieval costumes.
Yeah. As someone who was raised Lutheran, the first time I went into a Catholic church, I was so confused because Lutheranism is literally you stand in a room and there's, like, a wooden cross at one end and nothing else.
Right.
And then you go
it's, like, sinful.
Yeah, because it's like you're making an idol of different things. And so then going into a Catholic church, I was so confused because like you see the saints and you're like, is this not making an idol of a regular person?
Yeah.
But now I'm wearing a Virgin Mary necklace.
Now I'm just like, everyone's an idol K-pop style. Let's make everyone famous in Korea and throughout the world.
Yeah,
that's what making an idol means now. I also wrote in here that I feel like I relate to them because they fucked with dragons about the about the medieval people.
Yeah.
They fucked really hard with dragons. Not had sex with them. Well, I guess sometimes they did, but
Knights of the Round Table, just out there slaying dragons and going on quests and finding the Holy Grail.
Exactly. Now, Allie, our story, as you know, begins in a transient time right at the end of the Middle Ages and the beginning of the Renaissance, the year before Leonardo da Vinci paints The Last Supper in Denmark. And do you know about Denmark in general? What do you think was going on at this time?
Okay, Denmark. I'm going to say that there were probably witch trials in Denmark. I feel like I remember that from one of our older episodes.
Little later.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like they were just doing the same shit everyone else was doing.
Here, I'm going to show you a picture and see if you have that helps you.
I see knights. On boats coming to shore.
Those are Vikings.
Oh, Viking. Oh, okay. Yeah. I see Vikings.
Yeah.
Coming
there you go.
Shore.
Vikings. Yes. Historical figures in Scandinavia are like super badass Vikings. And then meanwhile in America, we have historical figures like the Quaker Oats guy who literally looks like a bitch. I put a picture here.
I mean, that.
So you can see.
Was that man a real man? Do we know for a fact?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
They just like asked some random...
I mean, the Quakers were real, for sure.
Of course.
Yeah. But look, just to compare.
Right.
This is the historical figures in Denmark, and now here's historical figures in America.
I mean, in the defense of the, like, sexless Quaker Oats man.
Yeah.
I would rather hang out with him than a Viking that's like going to go spear me through the heart and then like have his way with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Continue
there's
on.
also bog people.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what bog people were?
No, but I love it. Did they live in bogs?
No. So these were people who, well...
Did they get buried in bogs and then were mummified?
Yes, exactly that. So the high acid content and iron content in the bogs around Denmark preserves bodies super, super well. And most of the bodies that are found in those bogs were killed by very violent means. We can see that. They were like hung or they were killed or they were murdered. Yeah. But despite that, super nice people. Here is a picture of the Tolland man, who is the most famous bog person, and you can see he's like super well preserved, right?
That's a bog person if I've ever seen one.
So people found this body in the 1950s and they thought it was like a recent murder. Like they were like, oh, we just found a body that's probably been here, a few months decaying or whatever. And then they found out that like actually he was from the 4th century BC during and other people have been found in that bog, and from that bog person, we can kind of tell what people were like in the old Denmark, because he was wearing like a wool cap, and he had like a stomach full of barley, and he had shaved his face. So we can assume that perhaps it was the fashion of the time to shave your face, or maybe they were like, "Fuck you, I'm shaving your face,"
right? Like tar and feather, but actually just shave your face and push you in a bog.
But we don't know because not a lot of records are kept on ancient Denmark.
Oh, so, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So actually, the history of Denmark is kind of in the dark compared to places like France or Greece or Rome. So what happened was that the Romans, when they would conquer places, they were really good record keepers. And the Danes were not such good record keepers. Or if they were, we lost their records. Okay. So we're not really sure what went on. What we do know about the Danes is that they were really good at fighting. Like amazing at fighting. And they did a little bit of trade because we've seen amber that's only found in the Baltic Sea in some Egyptian jewelry. So we can surmise that they were trading with some Egyptians. So they definitely had like business going on, but did not keep very good records. And some people think that's because it was just a lot colder there. Like everything was covered with sheets of ice during prehistoric times. So perhaps there was less people living there, or records just didn't survive. Whatever the reason is, historians are kind of in the dark about.
Or maybe it just wasn't important to them.
That's what I mean. They just didn't fuck with keeping records. I feel like
back in the day, it was so hard to just like wake up every morning and be alive that maybe they just didn't have the luxury of writing shit down.
Yeah.
They didn't have time.
Yeah, they didn't have time.
They had to cut that out of their lives, just like George Washington pulled his teeth out in order to make time for what was important, which was apparently
going
pillaging
across the
villages.
River. Yeah. So I wrote here, basically the Romans were like, who's to say about Denmark? They just didn't know.
Who's to say?
Exactly. So also because of Denmark's location between the North and the Baltic Seas, it's strategically and economically important. So everywhere around it wants to take Denmark, including Germany and Sweden. And the Danish history is rife with mutual struggles for control of the Baltic Sea. Basically, historically, Denmark, Sweden, and Germany were always nagging each other, if nagging was actually stabbing and killing each other ripping each other's entrails out.
Okay.
So like I said, Denmark never produced a ton of archaeological finds like we did in Greece, Italy, or Egypt. And who's to say?
But they have bog people, and I feel like that makes up for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I wrote next here is that the point is being we aren't sure how haunted Denmark is because there aren't many records in relation to what we know about other places. But we can surmise that these people like to fight and they sort of like to exchange goods, but they really didn't like to take records.
Got it.
Also, I wrote in here that Assassin's Creed Valhalla on PS5 is legit fucking history. Like I'm realizing as I was writing this, I was like, oh yeah, like you're a Viking. Yeah, and you're going and you're pillaging all of these monasteries and taking your shit and like building a new community. And then there's also like side quests are like to old ancient ruins that are like Roman, and it's like everything's in a different language there, and it makes it more complicated. It's actually a really hard game, which I ended up not continuing to play. I like stopped halfway, and maybe when I get the courage, I'll go back. This is kind of inspiring me to go back to finishing it. Okay, so Denmark in 1481, according to Frommers, the early 15th century marked a fundamental change in the definition of nobility. Prior to that, any Dane could become noble by contributing a fully equipped private army to the king in order
That's
to...
a big ask.
I know, right?
That's all you have to do is just get a fully equipped army and give it to the king.
And then they give you your nobility card. But then after the 15th century, they decided being like, no, now you have to show that you have 3 generations of being a noble. So before we'll say that you're a noble.
Okay.
But I mean,
so it's like old money versus new money. Like if you had come up on selling barley at the brothel and like broke out of your generational poverty.
Yes.
Like in the past, you could just be like, hey, I'm a nobleman now.
Yeah.
But now it's a situation like Great Gatsby where you have to have that lineage to back you up.
Oh, wow. I'm so glad you bring up Great Gatsby, which details the American dream, because I wrote here that basically it used to be the American dream in Denmark, because you would build an army equipped with serfs and vassals. You'd give it to the king. You'd receive your nobility card, and then boom, you're good. But now they made it so that your efforts wouldn't alone be enough. You had to have generational nobility. It's
bullshit.
Yeah, bullshit. We here on LGH are very woke, so I just wanted to say.
As we continue to say like the most offensive shit every episode.
Do we?
I don't know.
Do we? Comment below if we've offended you before.
Oh man.
Oh no.
Well, yeah, do it. Who knows?
Do it. Express yourself.
Explain why.
What are you?
I'll tell you why you're wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we need to know who it is first,
right?
So we can figure it out.
Yeah.
All right. So now that we know a bit about Denmark, would you say that it's haunted?
Yeah. I mean, I think that the peat bogs by themselves, if you had not told me anything else about Denmark in the Middle Ages and just started with the fact that there's these preserved mummified bodies from the 4th century, I would be like, yeah, that's haunted.
Yeah, and Denmark has a higher case of any of these bodies than anywhere else in the world.
Super haunted.
And they all died by like super violent means.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, death in general obviously results in hauntings. How do you get a ghost? Someone has to die.
Yeah, and we've talked about before, ghosts are made when you don't give them a ceremony to the afterlife. And the Danes, particularly the Vikings, really believed in the afterlife, and they believed that if you were buried like in a noble way, that you would have permission to enter the afterlife and go to Valhalla. And so if they're taking these people and they're literally just unceremoniously dumping them in a bog, it's kind of like they're sending them to no afterlife.
Exactly. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Like keeping them in purgatory forever, roaming, wandering the earth.
Yeah, and now you end up in a glass enclosure somewhere in Silkeborg, Denmark, and everyone's staring at you, and they're like, oh, wow.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a really fucking old guy. So now the year is 1481 in Drottninglund, northeastern Denmark, and a castle is being built. The Voergaard Slot.
Okay.
Isn't it weird that slot is castle?
Yeah, it just sounds like you're saying slut
I know.
with an accent.
That's why I like to keep saying it. It sounds like Voergaard Slot, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Voergaard, its recorded history goes back to 1481. And like I said, record keeping, we're not so good at it. So I'm going to post what people know about it. But there's not a whole lot of sources for this because it's just kind of like passed down through the annals of history.
Right, yes.
Squire Jacob Anderson of Voergaard owned the Voergaard farm, and then he, quote, makes it over to the Bishop of Borglum, Stige Krumpen. Now,
Whoa. His name was Stige Crumpet?
Stige Crump. How do you say that? Stige Krumpen.
Stige Crump.
I feel
He's
like
crumping.
I feel like with all of these Scandinavian languages, there's lots going on in the word. Like there's lots of like marks through shit and like double letters and stuff. And so if you just sort of mumble it sounds like the way that they say it.
Yeah, Stige Crumpin.
You can't like pronounce it all. You have to be like Stige Krumpen. Stige Krumpen.
I love that.
But like I said, we don't know a whole lot about this. Like they're literally saying like he makes over the farm to this guy. So I don't know if that's like a mistranslation of like he sold it to this person or he like gave it to them.
Yeah.
But he was literally a squire, and then he just gave this farm or makes it over to a bishop. So I don't know. And then here's a picture of him. Thoughts?
Looks like a white guy wearing a funny hat.
Yeah.
He's got A necklace? I can't really see from the...
Yeah, it's a very small picture. I need you to use your imagination
Okay,
rather
all right.
than get up, rather than risk getting up.
No, I'm not going to get up. Okay, you guys, here's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at a painting.
It's probably 2 inches tall and 1 inch wide, and she's looking at it from about 5 feet away.
No, this is Sticky Crumpin. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so Sticky Crumpin is looking to the side.
It's a profile.
It's a profile. He's got the poofy hair, and he's got a silly little circle hat on that looks kind of like a popper.
Yeah.
And he's just got a fun little outfit on. I don't really know how to describe it. He looks like he was born in the Middle Ages.
He does. Yeah, slay. Okay, so then after Sticky Crumpin gets the farm, he's living at Voergaard with his wife, Elizabeth Guildenstern. Elizabeth Guildenstern. And if you remember from Shakespeare's Hamlet, there's Guildenstern and Rosencrantz, and he named these 2 families based off of families that were in this area in Denmark, because it took place in Denmark.
Okay.
And super haunted, he had actually stolen Elizabeth Guildenstern from her husband.
Wait, what?
Who was a knight named Bond Dieu. And I don't know if she was actually stolen, like just
kidnapped?
ripped from her home, or if it was a new relationship. Who the fuck knows? But I got this information from the Voergaard Slot.
I mean, stealing a person is probably the most haunted thing I can think of.
But do you think she was literally stolen? Like she was like ripped from her, from her castle and like put over a shoulder and just taken? Or was this like I'm running away from my husband and going with you, but because my husband and I were married and this is not normal for the times, like it's being stolen.
Man, I hope it's the second one. I hope she was following her heart to Sticky Crumpin.
Yeah.
But it sounds like she was kidnapped. That's what I'm getting from it. Yeah,
super haunted. So during that period of Sticky Crumpin, the names are getting worse and worse and worse, guys.
So Sticky Crumpin stole a woman.
Yeah.
And he's on his farm.
On Voergaard Slot
farm.
Yeah. He starts reinforcing Voergaard, and he turns it from a farm into a legit castle. And he makes this farm the headquarters of his whole life. And he starts gradually buying up the entire area around him. So now he's kind of like a big fucking deal in this area. He's kind of like what Nick Cage is to New Orleans. Like people are like annoyed that he's buying up everything.
And also he's like going bankrupt. So why does he keep buying things? Nick Cage, come on the show.
Exactly.
Come on the show, Nick Cage.
Explain yourself.
We're so curious.
So after a while of him literally just buying people out of their homes and buying people out of their farms and just becoming super wealthy, he starts to attract a lot of attentions, particularly from the peasants of this area. Now, what do peasants historically do, Alyssa?
Riot.
They riot. They revolt.
That's the only way you can get, because it sounds like Sticky Crumpin is coming in and he's gentrifying the area with money that we don't know how he got it from.
Yeah, with a stolen bitch.
Yeah, with a woman who we don't know whether or not she really wanted to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. He sounds like, you know what he sounds like? Now I'm thinking, okay, I'm putting all the pieces together. The woman Sticky Crumpin stole, was she his sugar baby? Because he's like a rich asshole.
Yeah.
And she's like, hey, my husband kind of sucks.
Right.
I'm alive for the time, so I'm hot. Like, I'm still alive. I don't have syphilis yet. Mm-hmm. I'm really a catch.
Yeah.
My hot brain only kicks in 2 months out of the year.
My Only Peasants page is like lit right now.
Yeah. And so she's like, you know what? Which honestly, good for her. She's like, wow, my life, I don't want to shit in this chamber pot and throw it out the window anymore. I'm going to get with Sticky Crumpin.
Right.
Who has...
So I can shit in a legit stone hole in a castle.
Like he built an outhouse.
Right.
Which is a luxury.
Yeah.
I'm going with him.
Yeah. I mean, who's to say?
Who's to say?
Who's to say?
Rewrite the history books.
So peasants start revolting, and there's this thing called the Count's Feud or the Count's War. Okay. Now, this is a war that was going on in Denmark, and it was basically everyone was fighting about whether Denmark should be Lutheran or Protestant. Honestly, I don't fucking know. The point is that everyone was fighting.
they didn't realize their religion is pretty much the same.
Yeah.
So they were mad about it.
Everyone is fighting and it's haunted. It's peasants versus nobility. And so during this war, there's this guy and he's named Count Christopher. And he inspired a bunch of the peasants to overthrow the nobility. Very similar to the French Revolution, except for instead of executing the nobility, they just exiled them and then burned all their shit down. Some of them were like, well, let's like keep this one and live in it. Yeah, just this one. Just this one. It's fine. And then during that time, the Voergaard Slot was owned by Stiggy Krumpen, the Bishop of Barlem, and Stiggy had it until it was literally taken from him by one of these peasant armies that was led by this peasant guy named Skipper Clement.
Okay,
now
that's a fun name.
I know, you're probably wondering, how did Skipper get in there with all the Stiggies and the Elizabeths and the Von Helsings and whatever, right? Yeah. Exactly. Like, we can trust this guy. His name's Skipper.
Yeah, Skipper, that's a fun... He's like a Barbie, you know, like Barbie's little sister,
and
Skipper.
That's how he gets you. Well, actually, maybe he was a skipper. Now that I'm thinking about it. Like, what if his name was Clement, but he's like a skipper on a boat?
That's true. It could have been.
Skipper is also Barbie's sister.
Yeah,
so,
that's what I just said.
Let's just his name was Skipper.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
All right.
Okay, so Skipper Clement was a business man, aka a merchant in those times. And then he later became a captain and a vice admiral of the navy of the King Christian II of Denmark's. So he had some experience on how to lead like military operations, etc. And people just generally liked him. But he was a businessman. And as all businessmen do, he mutinied from his boss. And then he decided to form a peasant army to overthrow the rich.
Got it.
Now, Skipper and his army held Voergaard Slot until Skipper was captured by enemy forces. He spent the rest of the war in jail, which was it's not even jail. He spent the rest of the war in a dungeon, rotting away.
Skipper did?
Yes, until he was executed by breaking wheel. Now, do you know what execution by breaking wheel is?
Oh, no. It's the one where they like tie your limbs to this wheel. Right? And then they like turn the levers and it just breaks your arms and your legs and stuff, right?
That is like a way more classy, sophisticated version than what I'm about to tell you.
Oh,
they did not utilize the wheel as it's supposed to be by like turning it or like using it on.
You know what I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of Saw. Remember in Saw where the lady, it's like her head and her arms and her legs and they just twist them.
How could you forget?
And like it breaks everything and then at the end they wring her neck.
Now, I have a question for you that has nothing to do with anything, but I've thought about this before. Alyssa has said horror is her favorite genre. What about Saw?
Saw is not horror to me.
What is Saw?
Is gore. I feel like gore to me is a completely separate genre. It's only out there to shock you and make you feel like grossed out on the verge of almost vomiting.
Yeah.
Horror to me is like is more, it's less in your face.
Right.
It's less like, hey, here's somebody getting their guts ripped out of their anus, and more, here's a ghost that may steal your soul and you'll never be able to escape this jewelry box.
There's more of a narrative behind it to scare you.
Yeah.
Where gore is like, I'm going to show you some fucked up shit.
Yeah, it's like showing you gore for the sake of gore.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what Saw is. And that's not to say that Saw's a bad movie. I think the first Saw is a very creative storyline. I think the subsequent films, I think most would agree, were just to show you someone getting stung by bees or whatever.
Oh my God. I quit Saw when they had the guy that was like, he was on a 4-poster bed and his arms were tied this way and his legs were tied this way. And he had to press a button that was going to gouge his eyes out. Or if he didn't, then the bedpost was going to like split him apart and take his arms and his legs off. And he like finally gets the courage to press the button and it gouges one of his eyes out. And then he can't do the second one. And then it like splits him open.
I can't.
And I was like, you know what? I don't need this energy.
I don't need to put myself through this. That's how I feel about gore, is I'm like, why? I don't need that image in my mind. Like, I know some people are like sociopaths and they'll watch videos online of like people dying, like r/watch people die before it got shut down. I have never been someone that can ever watch anything like that. And so then seeing like an imaginary version of that, it's same level for me. I can't do it.
I am like just now, I started watching Game of Thrones again and I've tried to watch it 3 times. This is my third time. I've gotten to the middle of the first season, but it's like just fucking, like, they're killing dogs, they're killing horses,
I can't.
they're like crippling kids. I'm like, what the fuck is this? But then also you're like, but there's dragons and there's hot sex scenes and people in medieval clothing and this bitch.
It's a trade-off for sure. Yeah.
But point being, we don't like gore, and now you're going to hear about it.
Okay.
So here's a picture of the breaking wheel.
Oh, God.
You know what? There's the breaking wheel. Here's the apparatus. There. So it's literally a wheel off of a cabin. Or not a cabin. What's that called that has a wheel on it? A carriage?
A carriage?
Yeah.
Yeah, a cart.
A cart. Yeah, it's literally a cart wheel. And then they have these sort of like lifted, I don't even know what you would call those. They're like little blocks that come out of the ground. And what they do is you have a person who lays across this sort of like blocks, as you're seeing on the screen right now. And then they take that wheel and they break it. They just drop it on your shins to break your shins, and they start moving up your body. So from shin bone, they break, and then they break your knees, and then they break your thighs, and then they break your pelvis, and then they drop it on your chest until eventually they drop it on your head, break your neck. And then the second part of this ritual is once you are literally broken, they braid your body into the spokes of this wheel.
What?
They braid your fucking body. And if it doesn't fit, they break it to braid it, right?
Why?
Because the third part of this is that they hoist the wheel with your broken body on it up onto a spire for everyone to see and spin it around.
What?
And that's if they're nice. If they're not nice, they decide to put a fire underneath you, and they either have you roast above the fire, or they just take the whole wheel and they chuck it into the fire with your body on it. Now, here's the part that's really fucked up.
The whole thing is already so fucked up.
Here's the part that really, really is fucked up.
Okay.
It is thought that if you didn't die during this, if you somehow miraculously survived being braided alive through this wheel and then burned like some sort of rotisserie chicken, that actually it was God saying, no, this was not right and this person deserves to live. And then everyone treats you like you're this sacred object because God has decided to save you. So there's cases of people being unbraided and then they're like, nursed their injuries and they're not going to live obviously much long. No, of course not. And then they're kept alive as long as they could be. And there's a case of someone living for like 4 days after this, and there's another case for someone surviving like a little over a week. And it's just not good. But that's the point is that they did this to Skipper. They did this to a man named Skipper. How could you? He's literally a dolphin.
Skipper, you aquatic prince. How could they do this to you?
I know, it seems so aggressive for a guy named Skipper. Yeah. I want to cry for him. Like,
it's Gilligan's best friend. That
really, you guys, like, that really fucking happened to someone. Literally.
I can't.
And it happened to people often.
No.
And so now back to Voergaard Slot. Okay, so Skipper was staying in Voergaard Slot when he had to stay in the dungeon during the whole Civil War, and then he was braided. Like, it's got some bad energy. Also, before that, let us not forget that a woman was stolen there and lived there with that other guy.
She may have wanted to be stolen. She may not have. It's unknown.
We don't know. Now, after Skipper was broken on the wheel. The crown confiscated the castle in 1536. And then in 1578, King Frederick II ceded the property to this woman named Karen Krabbe to a man named Karen Krabbe in exchange for Nygard, an estate which was located somewhere else in Denmark. It doesn't fucking matter. I'm not going to try to keep saying this shit.
It just sounds like a bunch of people like stealing homes from other people.
Yes, but then the most infamous resident of Voergaard Slot comes to get it. So Karen has this daughter, and her name is Ingeborg Skeel. Have you ever heard of her? Ingeborg Skeel.
Ingeborg Skeel.
Have you heard of her?
No.
So she takes over the property from her mother with her husband. And then afterwards, in 1586, her husband dies. Now, she's a widow. Normally, after women are a widow, they take a new husband because in this time, it's not thought that like women should run the house or the business or whatever. Right,
because then you're a witch and then you get burned at the stake.
Exactly.
Yeah, got it.
But what did Ingeborg Skeel do?
She was like, you know what? I'm a bad bitch.
Yeah.
I'm wealthy. My parents stole this house for me.
Yeah.
I'm just going to continue to live here.
Hot circle skirt summer. So after that happens, she just starts running the castle solo, and she was constantly building her empire, constantly improving the castle. She was adding on entirely new things. She was always building. She was amassing more property, and people in the community started to take notice of this, right? So because she was personally managing her estate and it was growing and she was becoming more and more wealthy, the citizens started to complain, and they said that she was guilty of unauthorized trade in the town's market rights, which is called lampering, and that she kept a tent at the markets selling German beer and other items. Now, do you know what lampering is?
No.
Me neither. I was hoping you would know what it was.
Wait, can you re-say that? She was accused of... Are you saying
unauthorized trade in the town's market rights?
Okay, I know what
Quote,
this is.
So-called lampering.
Okay, this is when there's like... Have you ever seen those news stories where a kid is selling lemonade on the side of a sidewalk and then someone calls the police because they're like, technically you need a business license to do that.
Oh.
That's what happened to her.
Right. Okay. So she was selling German beer and stuff, and people were like,
Right.
She doesn't have a license to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, how do you think she got so rich?
You have to cut
The
corners to
gray
get
area.
rich in
Yeah,
life.
Obviously.
People who play by the rules, this is why we don't get rich, because we play by the rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're like paranormal podcast rule players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I always say about us when people ask.
If you're listening to this and you're the IRS, remember that.
Well, it's true. I paid taxes on last year on like the $200
I know.
we made.
I know. Literally, guys, literally $200.
I was like, I do not want this to somehow turn into something.
I want to publish our expense sheet so that people can see.
It's not worth it. It's nobody's problem but our own.
Right. But I feel like people would it's haunted.
It is haunted.
I feel like it's haunted.
Yeah.
Okay. So despite records indicating that Ingeborg Steele donated to charities in the area and literally built a hospital, she was rumored to be absolutely batshit insane evil.
Hell yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to stop at insane. And I was like, hell yeah. Okay, no, batshit insane evil.
Yeah.
I should have waited for the full sentence.
Two combos that does not go. Like, you can be evil on your own, but like not batshit insane. Like, I don't know, you just like do weird evil shit on your own. That's better than being evil and crazy.
That's true, because you're like, how do you can't even predict what evil shit they're gonna do next.
Yeah,
There's
they're gonna
no
like
rhyme or
drive their
reason.
car into a farmer's market or some shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or like put themselves through the spokes of that wheel
Yeah,
and then
like,
stay alive forever
what?
afterwards and be
Oh
rolling
my God.
down the street just doing evil shit.
They're on the wheel rolling.
Yeah, she's rolling her way through the market selling
Making
beer.
her way down south, rolling past faces
spokes
past, and
of
she's
the
a wheel
wheel.
girl. All right. So rumors began to go around that she was a witch who conspired with demons and the devil, as they do. And some say she was a murderer who tortured and killed anyone who challenged her authority. Some say she was the devil's incarnate herself. And it is said that after finishing a portion of the building, she drowned the architect in the moat surrounding the castle so that he could never, ever make another castle as beautiful again.
This reminds me of like the ancient Egyptians when they would build these like secret tunnels and trap doors and stuff, and then like bury the architects inside the pyramid so nobody would ever know how to like get to the king's room or the treasure or whatever.
Well, but the thing is like she killed this guy so that he could never make a castle that's as beautiful ever again. And I just want to say that I've seen some really sick castles, and this one not so much.
If she's batshit insane, it's not that cool.
This is Voergaard
That's not
Slot.
worth like murdering a man over.
Now,
I'm sorry.
Just to give you some, I've included another castle, Neuschwanstein Castle, which we've literally seen in Bavaria before, below it. So you can compare and contrast.
Yeah, way cooler.
Most beautiful castle in the world. Nah, I don't know. I'm calling bullshit. Here's another photo just so you can see.
Not
here,
that cool.
Here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seems like maybe
the Bavarian castle's better.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
It seems like maybe you drowned the wrong guy. Maybe he was not the real architect. So, and additionally, Ingeborg was said to have tortured the villagers. People thought that she took people from the village, she caught them like stealing from the farm, and rather than like just persecuting them, she would cut their hands off.
What?
Yeah. Right?
Yeah. No.
And people say like, oh, she wasn't that bad. But like I said, we don't have that many records. But literally included in the castle is one of the most infamous dungeons in the entire world. And it's called Rosedanten. And it's situated on the oldest part of the castle, deep in the belly. And the size of the dungeon is so small that an adult man can neither stand up straight or lie stretched out.
What?
Also,
it's small. No. So you're just in a constant state of crouching.
Yeah, and well, I think too claustrophobia because there's no light or air holes. But this adding more fuel to the fire that she's just an evil fucking bitch. 2 floors above, there's a hole in the wall that goes down. It's like a porthole over the dungeon, so you can hear what's happening down there.
So she would just sit there and listen to people like have panic attacks and be in pain.
Who's to say? But like, why else would you have that in your house?
Yeah, that's 100%. Unless you're going to like throw down your chamber pot through that hole.
Yeah.
To add to the torture.
You wouldn't though. Or I mean, maybe that's how they gave him food and stuff. But still, that's like super fucked.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I could not.
Also, how haunted is it to have a dungeon in your home? You know what I mean? Like you're like sleeping in this castle and then 2 floors below you, there's a dude that you're torturing. That's what I don't understand about murderers. Look, I don't understand a lot about a lot of things in this world, but I'm just like, how could you have like someone chained up in your dungeon and just go to sleep at night?
You want to describe what
that's
she looks
Ingeborg?
like? Yeah.
That looks like a Cabbage Patch head on a ghost's body.
She looks healthy, and that's how we know she might have been evil, because all the people from this time I feel like looked, not so healthy.
Right.
And she's got like rosy cheeks.
Yeah, I mean, she has like, that's true. She know what she looks like? She's never had any stress in her life.
Yeah.
That's the thing I think of. Like, if you have a lot of wrinkles, guess what? You've had a stressful life. Her skin is as smooth as a Cabbage Patch doll.
Yeah, exactly. And so some people will say, oh, well, she wasn't a witch. She wasn't evil. People of the time just didn't understand like an independent woman. And then some other people are like, well, you can't be independent without being a witch. So who's to say?
You can be an independent woman without torturing a man in your dungeon.
You can also be a witch without torturing men in your dungeon.
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like she was absolutely evil. Good for her for breaking the glass ceiling of like women can be pieces of shit too, I guess. Like, congratulations,
Is
Ingeborg.
there a glass ceiling above how shitty a woman can be?
I don't know. I'm saying if there is, she broke it. She broke right through it. She smashed it.
So Ingeborg is charged with continual cruelty, all-consuming greed, and thoroughly haunting the grounds of Voergaard Castle.
Wow, she was charged with that?
Just by people. Like, I'm going to charge you with being a good friend.
Oh, I thought, thank you. Oh, thank you. I was thinking in a court of law, they were like, you're too greedy.
Oh.
Like, if we're charging you. I don't know. That's why I was asking. I was like, if she's being charged.
Like, you're just really annoying to everyone around you.
Yeah, I'm charging you with
sentence you.
You look like a Cabbage Patch in a ghost outfit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she died in 1604, and she's said to still haunt the castle so extensively that at one point they had to call a priest to a nearby swamp to exorcise her.
So her body was in the castle.
Mm-hmm. She died at Voergaard.
Okay. And then the priest goes to the bog?
So Voergaard is like, used to be a farm, and it's like hundreds and hundreds of acres. It's huge. So the castle is like has the moat around it or whatever, but then Voergaard included at this time like the whole kind of county area.
Okay. So probably the priest like didn't have permission to go into the castle and exercise the castle, so he went to the bog.
That's the thing. It's like we have to fill in a lot of these breaks, a lot of these, what are they called? Gaps. Yeah, because there's not really good records kept.
Honestly, I would not keep records of this woman either. I would be like, this was a mistake.
Right.
We are simply not going to talk about her.
So she haunts the castle, and it's said that she blows out candles.
Ooh.
People hear footsteps all the time. She likes a certain part of the castle to be open, so if you close the doors to that, she'll like blow them back open.
Oh, that's creepy.
Because she was like very anal about keeping the house. I mean, she managed the whole house by herself.
Yeah.
So like if you put things out of place or whatever, she like has something to say about it. And so, yeah, she doesn't like when the door to the corridor on the upper floor of the east wing is closed.
I mean, it sounds like a lot of haunted things happened in the vicinity of this place and inside this place.
Exactly. Also, continuing on with the rumors of things that she did, like reasons that she might haunt this castle, there's a rumor that she whipped her first child to death.
What?
And that she pushed the mayor of Voergaard into the moat, as well as the architect, and he drowned. Furthermore, it's rumored that she abused several of her maids and that she chopped off their hands if they were misbehaving once she chopped off the hands of someone who was stealing firewood.
Yeah, it seems like disproportionate. Although
Right.
I do have some relatives that live in a different country and are from that country. And they told me that if you're like chewing gum in their country, you like can have like, yeah, your hand, like if you are chewing gum and you like spit it out on the ground, like you litter, you can have like your fingers chopped off.
Do people litter there?
No, it's so.
Let's fucking do it out here then.
Yeah.
What country is that?
You can bleep this out because I don't want to like offend anybody if this is only happening in a certain part of the city, but it's.
Oh, okay. Should I bleep that out?
I would bleep it out just because I don't want someone to be like, well, I live in this city and that doesn't happen there. But my family lives, and that's what they said.
Wow.
I don't know. Google it, I guess.
I'm thinking about this really hard right now.
I know that like the president of whatever title he has, he like will execute. I'm pretty sure he executes gay people. So I think a lot of the stuff there that, I mean.
Serious?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, unless I'm perpetuating a rumor.
That president is super in the closet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's normally what happens. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone who's like, being gay is really, really fucking bad. And everyone's like, why are you talking about this?
Like, why do you even care?
Yeah. Like, we weren't even talking about that.
We've moved past it. Yeah.
Literally no one was talking about that. No one asked. But why?
That's like you walk into a party and you're like, there's no man tied up in my basement. It's like, okay, well, now I'm calling 911.
I think there's a man tied up in your
Nobody was
basement.
ever accusing you of that. But now.
Methinks thou dost protest too much. Yes. Also, in the northeastern tower of the room of in the northeastern tower room of the castle, this is my favorite one, there is a blood stain that won't come out.
Whoa.
So it's thought that she killed someone who was misbehaving on the spot there. And people say, oh, maybe it was like a maid or something like that. Doesn't matter. Literally, there's a huge blood stain on the floor.
Jeez.
And for a while it was covered up, but then in 1997 when they were like re-sanding the floor, they took the varnish off and the you can see the blood there. And every once in a while people try to sand it away and it just reappears.
Yeah, that's haunted as fuck.
Right? You like literally
Do you have a
can't
picture
get
of this?
So I wrote here, I couldn't find a picture, but I will keep searching. So maybe by the time I put this up, we'll have had a picture. If you have a picture of it, let me know. I like literally went to all the websites. They all talk about it, but they don't have a picture. I went to the TripAdvisor. I like went to the Danish version of TripAdvisor, looked for photos, couldn't find them. But
I want to see it.
Yeah, I also like Googled all this stuff. And like looked up videos on YouTube and there's not a whole lot of stuff in English about this castle or in Danish, which just really makes me think that the Danes don't like records.
Yeah, they don't want a record of this haunted evil place.
They're like, you know what? I told you there was a stain on the floor. That's all the sources you need.
Why do I need to take a picture?
Yeah. And
you know what? Maybe the Danes are just really fucking honest. So it's not like in the US where you're like, what are you telling me? I'm going to Google that. Like, I'm going to see if that's like really something that happened. And in Denmark, they're just like, oh, there's a giant blood stain. Mm-hmm. All right.
You know what? It's funny. So I have family that lives in Denmark, in Copenhagen and in Silkeborg. And I've been to Denmark like a few times in my life. And they are the nicest people in the entire world. They're like so peaceful. They care so much about the environment. They just ride their bike to the like corner market to get one loaf of bread, bring it back to their family, and then they like eat that bread that night with jam on it. Like they don't live in excess at all. They're just like very humble, very noble people. Like, And then they were like trying to entertain our family when we're there. And they're like, come see the Bogman in Silkeborg. Like, we're really proud of this. And we're all just like, oh, cool, looking at the Bogman. And like, I've been to Voergaard Castle. And they're like, come to Voergaard Castle.
And did you see this blood stain?
I don't remember any of it because I was like 11 years old and like thinking about like boys and stuff that doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't even like cross your mind when you're that young. Like, oh, I am in another country. This is cool as shit.
Also, I remember them telling me about the castle and saying that like the woman was very bad and that it was haunted. But like there's nothing in it at the time that I went. This would have been in the early 2000s. There's like nothing there that was like in English. It's not like a touristy place. Like they're not like a super consumer touristy kind of culture. Like if we had a castle like this in America, there would be a TV show about it. There would be people giving star tours outside of it. Yeah. There would be plaques in every single language. There would be places to donate to it. You can join the fucking, the club.
That has a murder mystery here every Halloween.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not like organized. Like you show up to the place. In fact, they even let people spend the night there sometimes. And they like everything that I read about it was like, if you're into the paranormal, you can ask to spend the night and sometimes they grant it. So like, I literally think if we just email this person that runs this and we're just like, hey, can we spend the night in the castle? They'll be like, oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, would love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll have some jam and bread for you. I don't know what a Danish accent is.
Do you have a place to stay? Stay with my family. Like they're so fucking nice. And it's weird because it's so juxtaposed to like the past of the Vikings. I don't know. I think the Danes are just like
they're
really
making
chill.
up for it.
Yeah.
I kind of feel that way about the Germans.
Right.
Sometimes when we went there, I was like, well, some people were rude, but I think that's just European versus American is like, we're rude about some things that Europeans are nice about. And then Europeans are nice, vice versa.
I think that we were very rude. I don't know about you, but the whole time we were in Germany this last time, I was drunk and we stole things from Oktoberfest.
That was you. Do not put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
You stole a mug.
No, I didn't.
Too. Oh, well then who else did? There was people in our...
It was you, Natalia. You stuck it up your skirt. Maybe Audrey? I don't know.
Oh, there was a bunch of people that stole them because we got away with like 4 of them. And I guess it's like...
Steins.
Yeah, Steins. I guess it's like a tradition that people do, or I don't know. Other people were doing it. But the point is that I think now as an adult, that's very rude. I was an adult at the time too.
Oktoberfest. It's not like somebody took a Stein from a mom and pop shop.
Yeah.
People were like literally breaking their Steins at Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
Because they were so drunk.
It was bad.
Like people jumping on tables and...
that was not... Well... We had to stand on tables, but I feel like everyone was standing on the table.
Yeah,
that was
that's what I mean.
And
so people were like kicking Steins off by accident or like smashing them.
Yeah, it was really wild. I would be interested to know if someone who actually lives in the part of actually lives in Germany and goes to Oktoberfest, the one that was in Munich that we went to, if like the locals are just like, those are garbage tourists. Like,
well, remember we met someone in Germany who was German and said like, oh, none of us go to Oktoberfest.
Right.
Like that's a tourist thing. You're never going to see Germans there. It's all like Australians.
Yeah.
Who else did we see? It was like, there were people from Australia, people from Brazil, tons of Americans. One of our friends like randomly ran into some guy she went to college with. And we were like, oh yeah, wow, this is like a big meet and greet.
Yeah.
I mean, how random that like you're from some small town in California and then you show up in Germany in Munich and you're like, I went to college with you.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like it's not that random. It's like a big frat party.
And
you're like, oh, I met this person who was also in a frat in America.
We also went to Copenhagen on that trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Public transportation.
Also, everyone's objectively attractive. It's just a beautiful culture, beautiful people. But my point is that we can stay at this castle if we were to go.
All right, let's do it.
And I also wanted to tell you one more haunting about this place.
Okay.
Do you know what this is?
A boar.
How fucked up is that looking?
Yeah, it's fucked up.
That's haunted, right?
It's a boar with, are those tusks?
What are those things on the side of its face?
Or some type of growth?
You know what? I don't know. The point is that it's a scary looking thing.
Yeah, it's not normal.
I love all animals, so I'm, trying to be respectful of this boar's situation.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
Didn't ask to evolutionize as that.
Yeah, he's looking real prehistoric. Let's put it that way.
Good for him.
I don't know if he's a bad guy or not, but his his image inspires fear in me.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I wouldn't want to like
harm him in any way.
Yeah, no. Oh my
Yeah,
God, no.
no.
I also wouldn't want to befriend in any way.
Yeah, I'm sure he's very nice.
I would keep my distance and be respectful.
But also they like gore people. I don't want to add to boar slander.
Right.
But there was a boar slandered who now resides in this castle.
Oh.
And they say that if you remove the boar skin from the castle, the entire castle will crumble and fall apart.
Wait. Okay, wait. There was a boar lived on the grounds of Voergaard Slot land.
I'm going to tell you how this boar got there.
Okay.
But I put the picture before the story, which doesn't make sense.
Okay. No, it's
to
fine.
just get you excited.
I love it. Yeah.
Okay.
Get the people going.
So at the castle during the 18th century, there was a live wild boar, which was, quote, brought down to the border between Voergaard and Hunsland. Now, I don't know if that means it was alive, if it wasn't, but that is what the records show. At this time, as it did in olden times, for some reason, a fight broke out.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was excitement because the boar was there. Is it that great to have a boar at this time? I don't know.
Somebody was drunk and they were like, oh, fuck, there's a boar. And then someone else was like, shut up, my baby's trying to sleep. And then they just went at it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. But point is, a fight broke out. And basically, they fought over who got to keep the boar. And who do you think won?
The richest person.
Voergaard Castle got to keep the boar skin. Now, here's the weird part is it says they fought over the spoils and that Voergaard got to keep the skin. Now, I don't know if people just took a live boar and they were like, I need that right now, and just like gutted it there. And like some people got the livers and some people got the hooves and some people got the whatever. Yeah, I don't know what it was, but that big boar skin is in Voergaard Castle behind a glass. And they say that if you move it, the whole castle will come crumbling down.
Well, let's go stay there and steal the boar skin.
No.
And
see that's what I'm talking about. Being rude abroad.
Well,
that is
clearly
rude.
It was a joke. I'm not actually. What am I going to do? Put a boar skin in my carry-on and go through TSA? And then they're like taking apart my bag to make sure I'm not like smuggling cocaine in my butthole. And they're like, oh, what's this casual boar skin that you have in your bag? I would be arrested immediately.
Yeah, I don't know. But like that doesn't sound impossible. Like that just sounds like what would happen. You would take the skin, put it in your bag, be stopped by the Danish TSA.
Yeah, and they'd be like, congratulations, you now get the wheel.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It's not worth it.
Now, again, in 1642, a bunch of peasants voluntarily decide to follow this guy named Colonel von Vonsen, which sounds super fake to me, but that's his name.
He's not real.
And they decide to conquer Voergaard again, despite knowing its super haunted history of the last peasant who conquered it, literally getting broken by the wheel and being in the dungeon. And they're just like, what are peasants? We're going to do it again. I don't know why. And then there's a bunch of random wars and feuds and scuffles and just death and decay and general destruction for many years. And the castle changed many hands and, again, lost to the annals of history. We don't know.
Yeah.
And until this guy named Peter Braunem Scavenus takes over Voergaard in 1872. And then he embarks on this really extensive renovation project. He buys back some of the land that was sold in the area. And he kind of like pieces back together this original estate the way that it was during Ingeborg Skeel's time there. And by his death in 1914, Voergaard is once again one of the largest estates in Denmark. And it has 4,800 acres of land. Now, today, the castle is just as notable for its art collection and its interior design and decor as it is for like its ghosts and its history. I'm going to show you a video of what Voergaard looks inside because it's got this super rare French art collection. So here's a video.
All right, guys, I am looking at a YouTube video that is showing me photos and like drone footage of the castle.
Can you describe what it's like inside?
I mean, it looks like a fucking castle. It like looks like a medieval. It's brick. It's got reenactors. It's got a big barn.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to talk about. It's got, here's, this whole entire episode is leading up to the fact that once a year in July, they do a medieval festival here at Voergaard Castle.
Wow, like a Ren fair.
Like a Ren fair, but it's in Denmark. And that's why I remember it, is because we went there, not when they were having the festival when I was a child, but I could like see all the stuff. And then my uncle was like, oh yeah, like in the summer, that's where we have the festival. And it like permeated into my brain. And I was like, that's the tent where they have the festival. And I like never forgot it.
So even though you were 11, you remember
Yes.
that tent.
Yeah.
That's kind of haunted in and of itself.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when I was 11, I didn't like care that much about like a haunted blood stain or whatever. I remember them telling me like there's a stain on the floor that's supposedly blood, but my uncle said the story to my mom in Punjabi, and I don't speak Punjabi, and so whenever they're talking to each other, you kind of have to like, what did he say? And then like the translation is just like, we're over this story. So they like they like they're talking for 15 minutes, and I ask what happened, and then they're like, oh, there's a stain on the floor. It's blood. Someone might have been killed there.
Yeah.
Something.
So you miss all the good details.
Yeah,
of
exactly.
Like, and then the evil woman cut off the hand of the maid or whatever. Yeah.
And it's my fault because I don't speak Punjabi or Danish. So like my uncle is, he's doing the best he can.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah, the inside this castle are tons of art treasures. They have everything from Napoleon's dinner service.
I thought you were going to say Napoleon's dick. Because you were like, dinner service.
Who knows?
They could.
Who's to say?
Who's to say?
Yeah, and they also have valuable Ming vases. It's Denmark's largest private art collection, but it's not a museum. It's literally just left over from Count Oberbeck-Clausen, who created this collection of furniture and antiques and paintings. He was just
in the 1800s?
In the 1800s.
Okay.
He has stuff from Louis the 14th and Louis the more numbers.
Yeah, more number. Yeah.
Marie Antoinette. And he also has works of art by Rubens and Raphael and Goya and El Greco. And now those come after, obviously, Marie Antoinette and them, but the people who came after acquired them. Okay, so what do you think of that?
Well, I still can't stop thinking about the death by wheel.
Well, my point is that so much haunted stuff is in this castle. And as you know, the Napoleonic Wars were like, that's more hauntings, you know?
Yeah.
That's just like all of the stuff that they've acquired to this castle. This castle just has a huge history, not only in its like art that's in there of destruction and war and pain. And then also it's literally was a dungeon where they like fucking dropped wheels on people and broke them and braided them into wheels. What the fuck?
Also, just the idea of someone having the misfortune of surviving that torture for a couple of days. So then the people are like, oh, our bad.
Yeah, they're like, God has decided to spare you.
Oops. I guess we shouldn't have braided you through a wheel because you're still alive.
But
that's like
the experience was free.
Right. That just reminds me of like the Salem witch trials and witch trials in general, where they'd be like, if you're a witch, then when we throw you in the lake, you won't drown.
Right. And if
so then
you
the
do
person,
drown, then you're not a witch.
Then we got it wrong.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, everyone fucking drowned.
Right.
You were wrong about everyone. And then if someone had like, again, the misfortune of surviving, then it's like, oh, see, you were a witch. We were right all along. And it's like, no, just by the grace of God, I was able to somehow survive this drowning.
Yeah, I know. Olden times.
It was so hard.
It was so hard. And now it's so funny because we like literally make light of it. So I have pictures of the medieval festival. You want to describe some of these photos? They're awesome.
Yeah, that is a dude dressed as a knight on a horse.
It is a knight on a horse.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is a real historical color photo of a knight.
I just think they would be offended if you were like, oh, so you play a knight? Like, wouldn't you just rather be like, you're a knight?
I feel like it depends on how into the LARP you are.
Right.
If like
I'm into them LARPing.
Okay, if LARP is life,
right,
then you are a knight.
Right.
For all intents and purposes. Like that is your job. If you go home and you continue to be a knight.
Yeah. I guess it's like I guess it's the same as like the person who's Cinderella at Disney. Like, does she work as a princess or does she work as a character?
These are the questions that we need answered.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments below.
But this photo is literally of a knight riding a horse through fire. Okay.
Oh, is that fire? I thought he was holding a smoke bomb.
It's fire.
Like,
who wouldn't want to go see that? And then look at this.
okay, here we've got a bunch of people dressed as peasants. They kind of look like elves, and they're holding each other in, I don't know. Someone's doing a handstand. Someone else is holding someone's legs.
It's like acro yoga or something.
Yeah, it's acro yoga.
But who wouldn't want to see that?
Wow.
Who wouldn't want that on their snap?
Yeah.
And here's another photo of the man
the exact
on
same
a horse.
photo.
But he's on a horse running through fire. Okay, now look at this.
Yes.
These are people that are like, their feet are in a tickling. So they used to have this thing in medieval times where they would like tickle you as torture.
Oh, gross.
And they put your feet in these
tickled.
like these
It's
holes.
stocks or whatever.
Stocks,
Yeah.
yes. And then someone would literally tickle your feet until you like just died.
Yeah, until you shit your pants and
I
die.
know, why does ticklish make you feel like you're gonna shit your pants and die?
I hate being tickled with a passion. Like I will.
Yeah.
Some people, they're
who
like,
likes
"Oh,
it?
how cute! You're so ticklish," and they try
Yeah.
to tickle you, and I'm like, "I'm gonna punch you in the dick."
Yeah.
It's not on purpose. It's an involuntary reaction.
You know what's really sad?
What?
I can't get tickled anymore. I remember being younger and I would get tickled and it would like really be like intense. But maybe the people just aren't good at it, but I like don't feel tickled. Like if you touch the bottom of my feet, it's just like a stone. Like I don't feel anything.
Oh man, that's a gift.
Maybe it's nerve damage from like having really tight snowboarding boots or something. I don't know.
Your guess is as good as mine.
I just heard I just started sweating because I heard like someone running.
So there,
up
that
the
person's
stairs.
been like doing like some like what is it called when you're? Never mind.
You
when you have
can't
to like
fucking
run
run,
up the stadium, you know what I'm talking
I
about?
don't
It's
know,
called something.
But you can't run like that when we're in the ghetto. Like I feel like something bad is happening. So like fucking don't run like that.
Right.
What the fuck? Okay.
Someone's doing laps.
So now this. What is this? It's a picture of a man in
It's a
stocks
man in
covered in
stocks.
blood, and there's a medieval count.
Are they tarring and feathering him?
Yes.
Well,
But people, my point
but
is
people love it. Hey, that's some people's fetish.
people,
And we're not going to
tarred and
kink
feathered?
shame.
People do that now.
Absolutely. You think there's got to be somebody who's like all about being tarred and feathered. There's got to be somebody that wants to be put in stocks. A lot of BDSM stuff is
but
so similar to that.
Being put in stocks, I feel like you could like leave and no one would be like, that guy gets put in stocks. If you get tarred and feathered, you're like have third-degree burns all over your body.
Yeah, but that's part of like the public humiliation kink. Is like, oh no, I've been tarred and feathered and everyone knows. Ooh.
Is that true?
Yeah.
That's true. Comment below if that's true.
Comment below if you have a tarred and feathered kink.
You literally would die. You could do it like 2 times tops.
Well, it would not be literal hot boiling tar.
How would they do it then?
A black ink
Oh.
and feathers or like a glue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If you know about this kink,
Wax?
I'm very interested. I just need to know all about it. Please comment below. I know sometimes we have people who like correct us on things and tell us the real history or whatever it is, and I'm forever grateful for those people. I'm very, very interested in people who like to get tarred and feathered.
It's absolutely a kink. I feel like Google it right now. This is for science. Google tar
and feather kink.
Kink. There's somebody out there who loves this. There's got to be, if you go to the video section, I guarantee you there's a porn.
I don't, wait, this says, oh my God, this says there's a website called ether.io, and just on Google it says punishment. Tar and feather means being doused with burning hot liquid, i.e. 3rd-degree burns all over your body. And then it says age 22, 9 years ago. So I don't know if I click on this, is it going to show me a video of that?
It's going to show you a video and you don't want to see that.
How can that just be on Google?
But I feel like, and I could be wrong, but I feel like the whole appeal of very specific kinks is the fantasy of it, right? So I doubt that someone's actually getting 3rd-degree burns with literal tar. It's probably just someone reenacting that, like I said, with like paint. You guys educate us in the comments,
Yeah.
but I'm very confident that somebody out there really loves that.
I mean, I guess there's something for everyone.
There really is.
It's like you're not really hurting anyone.
No, except, well, that's what I'm saying. I doubt anyone would throw real oil on themselves. I hope not.
I don't know. Like you remember the Pain Olympics? Like when
Yeah,
I
but-
was at a very formative age, a
I remember
child,
watching
the
that.
internet used to be absolutely fucking wild. People
Yeah.
would like chop their dicks off and
But
then
that
your
was
like 9-year-old friends would send it to you.
But that was fake.
It was?
Because it fucked me up for years. And then I looked into it later in life and it's a fake video.
What about glass ass? Did you see that?
Yeah, that one's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is where a man hovers over a mason jar. It goes all the way up his rectum and then it breaks in his rectum and there's like shards of glass coming out.
Yeah. But the one where the guy chops his dick off, that was fake.
There was also one where people like shot a bear and then they had sex on it.
What?
It's called Shake That Bear.
What?
I'm telling you, the computer room in like when you were like a youth.
Yeah.
A youth when this was a time when you could still put a proxy on Facebook. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was, the internet was in its infancy. The internet was that stupid video of like Crazy Frog and it was like ring, ding, 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 ring, ding, 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 ding. And you could also see people chop their dicks off, which may or may not be real.
You guys tell us in the comments below and educate us if that was a real video. I prefer to think it was fake because I read something that said it was fake.
Really?
Yeah. And that makes me feel so much better.
Yeah. God.
Because I remember someone showing that to me when I was in high school. Was I in high school or was I in college? I don't remember, but somebody showed it to me and I was very, very young. And I was like
upset by it for life.
Yeah. I was like, what? Why did you put me through this?
I know. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Actually, I may have been in middle. This is how like I don't understand how time works anymore. It may have actually been middle school. Now
I feel like I was in 8th grade.
Yeah.
Or maybe my freshman year. I don't know. It was definitely like 7th, 8th grade.
I was too young. And like the internet, I like didn't have a home computer. I didn't have a laptop. And then I went over to someone's house and we were playing Scrabble, I'm pretty sure. And then they were like, oh, you want to see this video that somebody sent me? And I was like, oh, the internet.
Right.
I don't know how it works.
There was also Kids in Sandbox and Lemon Party. Do you know
Lemon
those?
Party? I refused.
Lemon Party.
I refuse.
Lemon Party was just a bunch of really centenarians almost. It was elderly men.
I don't.
Huddled over, spreading their butt holes apart for you to look inside.
No.
And you could see inside
I refuse
the butthole.
To take part.
Where normally
in
I
this
feel like just looking at a butthole, it's closed. The sphincters were fully opened, which was just a miracle of science as well. And Kids in Sandbox was, I hope this one was fake. I don't know. Maybe there's people who are into this. But where a woman put a full-sized dildo into a man's urethra. Do you know those?
No, I need to leave. No,
well,
this is like Saw. This is like a gore movie. So maybe hearing this description,
maybe the broken wheel like isn't like maybe we do fucked up shit like that now. Like we're saying how barbaric they used to be or whatever, but like we grew up with that.
Was there a man in the Middle Ages whose kink was that he really wanted to get broken and weaved through a wheel? So he's like, I'll pillage this nobleman. Oh, he's like, oh no, you're gonna braid me through a wheel?
You caught me taking the baguette. One must hopes for no wheel to be broken upon me.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
There's someone out there.
I don't know.
Look, we've talked in our cannibalism episode, we talked about people who that's their kink. Being eaten alive.
The glass is always half full if execution is your kink.
That's right.
You know? I don't know.
Totally agree.
So we're going to talk about the theories.
Okay.
What was that stone tape theory you talked about?
I think there's a haunted child ghost running up. That's what I've decided.
I don't know, but whenever... I don't know if this is just because I'm American and I'm afraid of things like this, but whenever I hear someone running at that speed, I just feel like something's bad is happening.
Yeah. Like the Twin Towers have fallen.
Yeah, like there's
a mass shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a very American thing.
I really don't like that.
Yeah.
At all.
Well, we're pushing through it.
Yeah. So, stone tape theory.
Yeah.
Basically, but I sort of edited it because I don't think I understand stone tape
Stone
theory.
tape is what we talked about in Le Loyon.
I know, but I think I didn't. I think I this could not be stone tape theory, but I wrote stone tape theory and then I wrote what I think stone tape theory is.
Okay, you tell me.
So it's like a stored memory. And then I wrote, like Wikipedia says that memory is the faculty of the brain by which data and other information is encoded, stored, and retrieved when needed. So it could be that this castle, this land is like a brain of the area around it, and it's storing all of these memories of things that have happened there, especially since they were such significant events. And it's like literally baked into the castle because they say, oh, if you move this boar skin or whatever, the whole thing is going to fall apart. I don't know.
So maybe the boar skin is the cerebellum, and if you remove it,
Right.
the brain atrophies and dies.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
And the moat is the
cerebrospinal fluid.
Yes.
And the
And the bridge is the spinal thing, your spine.
Yeah, it's the brainstem.
The brainstem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
What? And the windows are
the medulla oblongata and the hippocampus is the blood stain, and that's why it can never be removed.
And your prefrontal lobes are the outhouse.
Yeah, your cortex.
Just saying every part of the brain I can think of. So that's my first theory about it. The second is a little bit more interesting, I think. The collective conscious trauma.
Okay.
Are things haunted because of how much death and destruction we've used to build our empires on? Would there be less hauntings if we all just lived in familial units and huts and ate berries and sang tales around a fire and then went to sleep at 7 p.m.?
Good point.
Yeah, I don't know. But is it because everyone who is alive today, their ancestors, had to pillage or be pillaged, or just trauma from just
generational trauma?
Yeah, like an eternity of fighting each other.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a great question. I never thought of that before.
Right. So that's an idea. The third theory is I just wrote medieval days is just making fun of torture, but I still want to go. I think I didn't finish this. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Here's what. Now I understand my train of thought. Is it haunted because they're doing medieval days there and they're making fun of torture and all of the stuff that happened there?
It's making a mockery of the pain and death that really happened.
Yeah.
Like people really got their feet tickled until they shit themselves and died of dehydration.
Yeah. It's literally awful.
And now it's someone's kink.
I know.
But we can't kink shame.
I'm sure there's people who finish just by getting tickled.
No.
Yeah, if they have a fetish.
Okay. Well, that's fine. Good for you.
Yeah, no kick shame.
The thing is, like,
you
tickling,
hate being tickled.
It gives me a pain response and not a good pain.
Really?
It's like it hurts. So my reaction is just like, I am going to punch whoever is tickling me.
Right.
Immediately. And I can't even aim. So it's just like literally if your dick happens to be the closest thing to me and you're trying to tickle me, goodbye.
Yeah.
Balls. Like,
smash.
Yeah, they're not going to be there much longer.
Yeah. I think some people like pain too. Well, like some people get like strung up by things.
Yeah. And that's great for them. I just think I guess I'm just not one of those people.
Some people talk about like an orgasmic birth, like they're giving birth and they also have an orgasm the moment that the baby was born. And that really set me up for failure because I feel like I was expecting something really good to feel when I was giving birth and it was not.
That sounds like incest.
No. How?
Because your baby's making you orgasm.
Oh my God. I no. No? What? No. Huh? What? Huh? No.
I don't know.
Is it?
It's a question.
No, I don't think so. Well, then it begs the question, is giving someone an orgasm incest, right? We don't know.
Look, I'm not an expert. I was just saying what came to my head.
Okay, I'm not sure.
I could be wrong.
I'm sweating thinking about it.
Yeah, I've been sweating.
Yeah. So, any other theories you have to think of?
No, I'm going to tell you, I think it's stone tape. I am in love with the stone tape theory. You phrased it a little bit differently than how I phrased it in Le Loyon. So I wonder if there's like two separate stone tapes or if I just misinterpreted stone tape. But I love the idea of like a place that's haunted. It makes sense. The stone tape theory makes sense to me if we think that places and objects can be haunted, because essentially it's saying that the memory of some horrible traumatic event that happened is now ingrained like a tape, like a recording on
a record,
that object or on that that building. And so it just plays over and over and over again.
They say the Danes weren't good at taking records, but what if all of their records were
stone
tapes? Boom. Yeah. I don't know.
I believe that.
What do you think about all of this information I've given you?
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of information.
What's your favorite thing I told you about?
I just can't stop thinking about that wheel.
Yeah.
I can't. It's like it's overtaken everything else in my mind. Bog people, cool as fuck. Love bog people.
Yeah. how barbaric is it that wheel, they literally just drop it on your body?
No.
Like you would think, like, if someone gave you a knife and they're like, execute someone, and then they're like, okay, I'm gonna take the blunt edge of this knife and I'm gonna break all their bones. It's just like,
it doesn't.
It's cruel for no reason. And so I was reading about it a lot because I kind of became very interested in this, as one should. And they were talking about like, oh, if the executioner had like mercy on you, instead of starting from the bottom up, they would start from the top down. So they would like bash your,
that way,
break your neck so you die, or like crush your heart so you die faster, and then finish the whole ordeal.
Right. It's like going through a wood chipper, right? You would always want to go head first. Yeah, because then you don't know. You like the pain is over so quickly.
Right. Oh.
I see wood chippers a lot at work.
No.
And I just think about like
movies and
it's just terrible. Like Fargo and I am just very sensitive to violence and gore and all of that right now. Like when I'm watching Game of Thrones, I'm like watching like this. So I like understand what's going on by the noises. It's like no.
And I'm like, oh, that's what's happening, but I can't see it at the same time. It sounds like someone's just taking, like the person who makes the sound for that was just taking celery and they're like all the time.
Yeah, no, you're probably right. What's your favorite theory?
I really like the medieval days theory because I'm
you're
very
making light of it and
in medieval things right now. I don't know why. I've had the medieval bug, one might say.
Well,
I'm very interested in those types of
I believe the medieval
goings.
bug is just called the Black Plague. So
yeah,
you better watch your lymph nodes, right?
Yeah.
That's the things that swell up.
Your buboes.
Yeah.
But your lymph nodes. I don't know if buboes are like an actual medical thing. I think it's your lymph nodes.
Yeah, that like swell up. And, yeah. Gross.
Yeah, like under your armpit and your throat.
Gross.
Well, not good for anyone.
Natalia, this was an excellent episode. I really appreciated it. I learned more about Denmark than I would have ever dreamed to know.
Jutland?
Yeah. Is that how you say it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Parts of it.
Shout out to our Danish listeners. I'm sure we have a lot of Danish listeners. Let us know what we got wrong in the comments and let us know what we got right.
Yeah, and I want to say, thank you to our Danish listeners. I love your country. It's like literally...
It was so clean when we went.
It's coming close to Japan. I don't know. Yeah, it is so clean.
Public transportation
I love
was
Tivoli.
Not scary.
Like their amusement park that's there. It's got a really cool history. Actually, last thing I'll say, positive haunting about Denmark. In Denmark, during the World War II, the Nazis occupied the whole state, and they turned this, they made this like Nazi headquarters in Denmark. And then after World War II ended and the Nazis were pushed out, the Danes had that building sitting empty for a really long time, and then they turned it into a kindergarten. So it's literally now children go there to learn, and they like have my like youngest cousin went to that school to learn.
Interesting.
So they've taken this thing that has all kinds of bad energy, and instead of being like, oh, you know what, we're going to try to hide this part of our history or tear it down, they're like, you know what, we're just going to turn this into something for children to like bless the newest generation coming in.
Oh, very nice.
And they have, it's beautiful, and they have like all kinds of statues and stuff in there.
I bet you that shit's haunted too.
Oh, for fucking sure.
Yeah.
There's a nursery that's there, and I remember walking by it. There's just a bunch of fucking like children in cribs, and like not normal cribs, like or not cribs, but like strollers. You know the stroller that has like a big bonnet on top of it and like old-timey wheels? Mm-hmm. That's what the strollers in Denmark that I saw looked like. And they just looked like something that would come out of The Conjuring.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, there you have it.
Well, would you like to do our sign-off?
Ooh. BRB, I gotta go sneak a boar skin past TSA.
Oh, it's very disrespectful.
Bye.